On January 13, 1999, an 18-year-old high school senior named Hae Min Lee left Woodlawn High School in Baltimore County, Maryland, at approximately 3 in the afternoon. She was supposed to pick up her young cousin from daycare, a responsibility she took seriously and never missed. But Hae never arrived at the daycare center that day. She never came home. Her family reported her missing that evening. 6 weeks later, her body was discovered in a shallow grave in Leakin Park. The case that followed would become one of the most debated criminal prosecutions in American history. Hae Min Lee was a popular, athletic, and academically accomplished student at Woodlawn High School. According to her friends and teachers, she was a member of the lacrosse team, wrote for the school newspaper, and had been voted homecoming queen. She was the daughter of Korean immigrants and maintained a close relationship with her family. She had recently started dating a classmate named Don Kleindienst, who worked at a local LensCrafters store. Before Dawn, she had been in a serious relationship with another classmate, Adnan Syed. Adnan Syed was 17 years old, a popular student, and by all outward appearances, a well-liked member of the Woodlawn community. According to school records and witness statements, Adnan was a star athlete on the track team, active in his mosque, and considered charming and intelligent by his peers. He and Hae had dated for several months before breaking up in late 1998. According to friends, the breakup was initiated by Hae, and Adnan appeared to take it relatively well, though some acquaintances noted he was more affected than he let on. According to the Baltimore County Police Department investigation, detectives initially treated Hae's disappearance as a runaway case. Her family insisted this was impossible, that Hae would never abandon her responsibilities or her family. The investigation gained urgency when Hae's car, a gray 1998 Nissan Sentra, was found abandoned in a grassy lot in East Baltimore on February 28, 1999. On that same day, an anonymous caller tipped off police to check on Adnan Syed. 12 days later, Hae's body was found in Leakin Park. Hae's body was discovered on February 9, 1999, by a man named Mr. S., who told police he had stopped to urinate in Leakin Park and stumbled upon the burial site. According to the medical examiner's report, Hae had been strangled. The cause of death was manual strangulation, and the manner of death was ruled homicide. Her body had been buried in a shallow grave and partially covered with rocks and debris. The autopsy indicated she had likely died on the day she disappeared, January 13. The prosecution's case against Adnan Syed rested heavily on the testimony of one witness, Jay Wilds. According to Jay's statements to police in his testimony at trial, Adnan had told him in advance that he planned to kill Hae and had asked for help disposing of the body. Jay testified that Adnan called him from a Best Buy parking lot on the afternoon of January 13 and showed him Hae's body in the trunk of her car. Jay said he then helped Adnan bury Hae's body in Leakin Park that evening. His testimony was the cornerstone of the state's case. Cell phone tower data was used by prosecutors to corroborate Jay's timeline. According to expert testimony presented at trial, Adnan's cell phone pinged a tower consistent with Leakin Park on the evening of January 13, at a time that Jay said they were burying the body. This was considered powerful corroborating evidence. However, the reliability of cell tower evidence for determining precise location would later become a major point of contention, as experts debated whether incoming call data could be used to establish a phone's location with any certainty. Adnan Syed was arrested on February 28, 1999, and charged with first-degree murder. According to court records, he maintained his innocence from the moment of his arrest, telling police he did not kill Hae Min Lee. His first trial in December 1999 ended in a mistrial. His second trial, in January 2000, resulted in a conviction. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder, robbery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. Adnan was 17 years old at the time of the crime. Adnan's defense attorney was Cristina Gutierrez, a prominent Baltimore criminal defense lawyer known for her aggressive courtroom style. According to court observers and legal analysts, Gutierrez's performance at trial was uneven. She was battling multiple sclerosis at the time, which some believed affected her cognitive abilities. Critics later argued that she made several critical strategic errors, most notably failing to contact and present testimony from a potential alibi witness named Asia McClain, who claimed she had seen Adnan in the library at the time prosecutors said the murder occurred. For 14 years after his conviction, Adnan Syed languished in prison, his case largely forgotten by the public. That changed dramatically in October 2014, when journalist Sarah Koenig launched a podcast called Serial through WBEZ Chicago. According to media records, Serial examined the Hae Min Lee murder case in exhaustive detail over 12 episodes, questioning the reliability of Jay's testimony, the cell tower evidence, and the overall fairness of Adnan's trial. The podcast became a cultural phenomenon, downloaded over 300 million times worldwide. Serial brought unprecedented public attention to every detail of the case. According to the podcast's reporting, multiple inconsistencies in Jay Wilds' story were highlighted. Jay had told different versions of events to police over multiple interviews, changing key details including the location where he said Adnan showed him the body and the timeline of the afternoon. Some of Jay's statements were contradicted by cell phone records and other evidence. Koenig raised the fundamental question: if Jay's testimony was unreliable, what was the remaining evidence against Adnan? The podcast also spotlighted the alibi witness Asia McClain. According to her sworn affidavit, Asia was in the Woodlawn Public Library at approximately 2:30 p.m. on January 13, 1999, and she spoke with Adnan there. If her account was accurate, Adnan could not have murdered Hae at the time prosecutors alleged. Asia said she had written letters to Adnan offering to provide an alibi and had contacted his defense attorney Cristina Gutierrez, but Gutierrez never followed up. This failure became the centerpiece of Adnan's post-conviction legal challenge. In 2016, a Baltimore City Circuit Court judge granted Adnan a new trial, ruling that his defense attorney had been constitutionally ineffective for failing to investigate the Asia McClain alibi. According to the court's opinion, Gutierrez's failure fell below the standard of professional competence required by the Sixth Amendment. The state appealed the decision. The case wound its way through the Maryland appellate courts for years, with each ruling generating massive public attention. The legal battle became as compelling as the original crime itself. Jay Wilds, whose testimony had been the foundation of the prosecution's case, gave a remarkable interview to The Intercept in 2014 shortly after Serial aired. According to the interview, Jay changed his story yet again, now claiming the trunk pop, the moment he said Adnan showed him Hae's body, occurred at a different location than he had testified to at trial. He also acknowledged that he had lied about certain details but insisted that the core of his story was true: Adnan had killed Hae and Jay had helped bury the body. The cell phone evidence that had helped convict Adnan came under intense scrutiny after Serial aired. According to expert analysis presented in post-conviction hearings, AT&T had included a cover sheet with the cell tower records stating that incoming calls should not be used to determine a subscriber's location. This caveat had not been disclosed to the defense at trial. The Leakin Park cell tower pings that prosecutors presented as proof Adnan was at the burial site were all incoming calls, meaning their reliability for establishing location was fundamentally questionable. In September 2022, Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby filed a motion to vacate Adnan Syed's conviction. According to the motion, a year-long investigation by her office had uncovered significant new evidence that undermined the original prosecution. The motion revealed that prosecutors had received tips about two alternative suspects whose potential involvement was never disclosed to the defense. One of the suspects had threatened to kill Hae. The other had a history of violence and a connection to the location where Hae's car was found. On September 19, 2022, Judge Melissa Finn granted the motion and vacated Adnan Syed's conviction. According to courtroom witnesses, Adnan wept as the judge read her ruling. He had spent 23 years in prison. The state was given 30 days to decide whether to retry him or drop the charges. Hae's family, who had been given only 1 day of notice about the hearing, expressed anger and devastation. Her brother, Young Lee, attended by video and tearfully told the court that his family felt blindsided and that Hae had been forgotten in the rush to free Adnan. In October 2022, the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office dropped all charges against Adnan Syed, officially ending his prosecution after more than 2 decades. According to the state's announcement, DNA testing of key evidence from the crime scene, including items found near Hae's body, had excluded Adnan as a contributor. Prosecutors stated that they could not proceed with a case built on evidence they no longer believed was reliable. Adnan Syed walked free, his conviction vacated, his charges dropped, but the murder of Hae Min Lee remained officially unsolved. Hae Min Lee's family challenged the vacatur through the Maryland courts, arguing that their rights as victims had been violated by the expedited hearing. According to court filings, the Appellate Court of Maryland initially reinstated the conviction on procedural grounds, ruling that the family had not been given adequate notice. The case continued to ping between courts, reflecting the extraordinary legal complexity of a prosecution that had become a national referendum on the American criminal justice system. The legal battles extended well beyond the original trial. The case raised fundamental questions about the criminal justice system that extend far beyond Baltimore. According to legal scholars, the Adnan Syed case exposed weaknesses in how juries evaluate witness testimony, how cell phone evidence is presented in court, and how defense attorneys are held accountable for inadequate representation. It also highlighted the power of podcast journalism to influence legal proceedings and public opinion, a development that carries both enormous potential for justice and significant risks of distortion and mob mentality. The identity of the 2 alternative suspects mentioned in the vacatur motion has remained officially sealed. According to court records, the suspects were identified during the state's attorney review of the original case files. One suspect had allegedly made a direct threat against Hae's life, telling another person he would make her disappear. The other had been investigated for similar crimes. Defense advocates argued these leads should have been shared with Adnan's defense team under Brady disclosure rules. Their existence cast further doubt on the original prosecution. Sarah Koenig's serial podcast fundamentally changed the landscape of true crime media. According to media analysts, Serial was the first podcast to reach mainstream cultural dominance, proving that long-form audio storytelling could compete with television and film. It spawned dozens of investigative podcasts, an entire genre of true crime entertainment, and a new model for journalism. But it also raised ethical questions about turning real human tragedies into entertainment and about the responsibilities of journalists who wield enormous influence over public opinion. Christina Gutierrez, Adnan's original defense attorney, was disbarred by the Maryland Court of Appeals in 2001 for mishandling client funds in other cases. According to bar disciplinary records, she had failed to provide competent representation in multiple matters. She died in 2004 from a heart attack related to complications from multiple sclerosis. She never publicly addressed the criticism of her handling of Adnan's defense. Her legacy in the case remains deeply controversial, with some arguing she was a capable attorney undone by illness and others calling her performance a catastrophic failure. For Hae Min Lee's family, every twist in the case has reopened wounds that have never healed. According to public statements made by the family and their attorney, the Lee family has felt repeatedly re-victimized by the legal process, the media attention, and the public's overwhelming focus on Adnan Syed rather than on their daughter and sister. Young Lee, Hae's brother, has said that his family feels Hae has become a footnote in her own murder case, overshadowed by the fame of the man convicted of killing her and the celebrity of the journalist who questioned that conviction. As of today, the murder of Hae Min Lee remains officially unsolved. According to the Baltimore Police Department, no new suspect has been charged. The DNA evidence that excluded Adnan has not been matched to any known profile. The alternative suspects identified in the vacatur motion have not been publicly charged or cleared. The case exists in a painful limbo, a murder without a convicted killer, a family without justice, and a community without closure. 25 years after Hae Min Lee disappeared, the truth about what happened on January 13, 1999, remains elusive. The legacy of this case is one of profound ambiguity. According to legal experts, it represents both the promise and the peril of our justice system. A young woman was murdered and her family has been denied answers. A young man may have been wrongfully imprisoned for over 2 decades. Witnesses told conflicting stories. Evidence was mishandled. Technology was misunderstood. And through it all, the question that Sarah Koenig asked in the very first episode of Serial echoes through the years: if you were asked where you were on a specific afternoon years ago, could you answer? Could anyone?